Hello all, how is everyone doing today? I know this has been a while. This is my first video I've put up in quite a while. The last 2 months have been crazy and hectic and just completely distracting. I've had very, and I mean extremely limited and minimal time to focus on spiritual affairs, primarily because the material world has been fighting me nonstop and has been bringing me down time and time again. Every time I even get near a spiritual connection, the material world steps back in and finds something else to destroy, sending me back down into hopelessness and isolation and fear and pain, misery, you name it. Just any and every possible thing that they can do, whatever the forces of materialism you might believe, uh, demons, spirits, archons, whatever, anything they've been trying to do just to lead me astray and keep me off of the spiritual path, and as well as bring all manners of woe and harm upon me and my life and my health and my well-being, you name it, while also keeping me isolated and alone for unusually long periods of time, just to the point of madness. So I've been unable to make very much content, and I've been unable to meditate and contemplate as well. It has been a very hard struggle. This summer, it seems like as soon as the summer kicked off and the solstice came along and the festivals of the full moons and all that came along, there has just been nothing but warfare, crazy, dark, unusual spiritual warfare taking place constantly. And I mean, it never stops. The forces of evil do not go to sleep. The forces of darkness and materialism do not rest. They are the hardest working forces of them all. And they do not stop. They are relentless until every and all possibilities of that spiritual spark are completely demolished and erased and turned into nothing, into naught. So this is what I've been going through for the past 2 months. What I thought was going to be a great rise into this zenith, if you will, actually turned into a fall, a really great fall. So many things happened to me. I lost my job, I lost my car, I had to get a new one. And then each job I've tried to get has just not worked out at all. Like, it started off promising, but then out of nowhere, just randomly one day, everything just was ruined and destroyed. And that's how it's been. It's like it's felt like every time I've found something new or found a way out of the hell that I had been brought down into, it always found some other way to come back up and to drag me back down again with it. It seems like no matter what I did, the dark forces always found a way to destroy me and my life and my situation. So anytime I've even had to seek the spiritual side, they have always gotten directly in the way and have led me astray and distracted me from it. So the battles have been crazy and they've been hellish and they've been just low down, as low down as you can imagine. Just when I thought they brought me down to the lowest point, oh look, a brand new layer has opened up, a brand new bottom has opened up, and it's sending me straight down there right now. Excuse me. But yeah, even as I'm making this video now, the forces of materialism they just cannot stand it. They just have to just find a way to creep right up at me and try everything they can. What they're trying really hard to do right now is to twist the words that I say, the channeling words from my intuition and how I feel. They're trying to just twist it and corrupt it as completely backwards and miscued and confusing as they can. They do not want you to understand at all. They do not want you to get it. They don't want you to see it or to understand it. They want you to be completely out of the know and completely in the land of confusion. And it's all part of their spiritual warfare. And I mean, they do not stop. They do not rest. They do not take a break. They're constantly, incessantly attacking and causing as much misery as they possibly can cause. So the reason, other than that, the reason I made this video today is, one, hey, we're in the very last day of what most people consider the summer. Now we get to move into the post-summer time of the year, if you will. And B, because we're in Leo, and because a lot of the work has to do with self-realization and self-awareness of the individual, this happens to be an excellent time or moment to talk about the I am presence. Last night I wrote an article on Substack. I'll leave the link in the description below. You can read it if you would like to. It's about the I am. It's describing what the I am is, what the self-realization is, the God self as a reflection of the universe without back within to the higher self. So I will read a couple of things from the article, if you don't mind, just to give you kind of an idea of the concept, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that as well. So the name of the article is "What is the I Am?" And you can see it for yourself. What is the I am? And the quote that I found from it pretty much describes it in a nutshell. I am all, therefore all is I am. So I am all, therefore all is I am. So that realization, when you realize that you are interconnected with the universe rather, and with all living beings and people of all walks, then you realize that the all, or the totality of that very existence, is the I am, or the ultimate self-expression. So this is the self moving from the state of the individual consciousness into the state of group, universal, and cosmic consciousness, in which it becomes the greater self. It adopts the greater identity, which belongs to the totality of the entire universe, all put together in one body, in one form. And that one body in one form, quite literally, is I am. It is the body of God. So if you look at our individual selves as cells within a human body, then they each have their own identity. Yes, they each have their own identity, but they also share the same DNA as the rest of the cells of the body. So if they were to group together as cells do, they would make up the greater body, which would be the I am, and all combined together, they would add all their identities together as one unit, one whole of the greater body, and that one identity would be the I am. So the I was a little cell, and then it moved into the group of cells and paired together and formed the greater body, and the greater body is the am, the I am being realized. If you think in terms of octaves, like in music, for example, with each octave up, you raise your vibration, and you raise into a greater and greater embodiment, if you will, of the same note, right? And so it's always the same note played on different octaves, but each octave going up is a higher vibration and a greater form of the octave below it. You can even look at it as the lower octaves, the bassier tones of a said note, are the more material, the denser forms of the notes. And the higher they go, the higher the octaves they go, the less bass they are, and the more treble and the more penetrating their sound becomes. So you could say that the higher they go in the octaves, same note, just higher octaves, they're losing more of that density, more of that material density that kept them grounded, and they're rising into a loftier, higher vibration in which they become more ethereal, more spiritual of a sound, until finally the note gets so high up, it kind of dissipates and fades into this realm beyond human perception. So I am all, therefore all is I am, but the total realization and fully embodied expression is I am the all. So when you finally reach the totality and the full expression of the I am, you'll realize I am the all. So the all is I am. Well, I am the all. So I am the whole entire universe of God, of the body of God, put together into one person or one human being. That's the realization effect. This sense of self as all things is the very meaning of the term I am, and is even the basic building block of spirituality. Yes, just like a tiny cell within the greater human body, so too is the divine identity lying dormant within the greater cosmos. And when discovered, this spiritually cellular and cellularly spiritual identity achieves a state of mitosis in which it multiplies itself within the form, thus expanding and growing. So cells in the state of mitosis, what do? They multiply, they split, they form greater and greater numbers of the same original identity, just in a greater number. So that's what the spirit does when it realizes God, and that's even what God does when the self realizes him, is they both go through this state of mitosis in which they multiply and split and divide and form greater expressions and greater bodies and forms of this evolved state of consciousness, which is I am. So it's like God, through each realization of God viewing himself as a reflection through us, he reaches higher states of evolution and conscious expansion. So he's growing with us. He's multiplying and growing and evolving with us, with our consciousness. And the more we realize it, the greater we are, the greater we become. And this is the I am. It's all that I am. So thus, it multiplies itself within the form, thus expanding and growing. As told by quantum physics, the universe is ever expanding. Well, the soul too is ever expanding, just like the universe. Not only the soul, but God himself. Yeah, I literally just said that. The living presence of God, discovered in the I am, is an ever-growing and ever-expanding identity, and when it reaches a mitosis of its own, it hence multiplies and regenerates itself into a greater body. Literally verbatim what I just said. I forgot I even wrote that. Or to put it simply, we are God experiencing himself exist, and with each breakthrough and bout of illumination, we are helping him to grow and expand as well. It's ourselves. So one could even say that God is consciousness itself, and with each revelation does it grow and ascend to even greater heights of both knowledge and wisdom. Oh, I was like looking at the screen, like, what is that on the screen? That's my laptop that keeps coming in. Ascend to greater heights of both knowledge and wisdom. To go even further, one could divide consciousness into two halves. One half would represent knowledge, while the other half would represent wisdom. They're two different things. Knowledge and wisdom happen to be two different things. Thus, just as the mind has two sides belonging to the same brain, so too is God like two sides of the same coin. It's like a duality. I just saw the yin yang when I was looking at the phone a minute ago. So many things. Like, it's the whole universe is watching me right now. For instance, the left side of the brain would represent the knowledgeable side. So the knowledgeable left side is responsible for concrete data, facts, analytics, and literal truth or evidence. This side corresponds to the dark side of God, the mirror of the deep, as described in Genesis, the descent into materialism and physical form. So this is the mattery side of God, the concrete side. Now, the right side of the brain, however, would represent the side of wisdom. It represents inherent truth, intuition, creativity, abstract information, symbolism, and even clairvoyance. You know what? I had a revelation when I was saying that. The left side of the brain is the material dark side of God, the mirror of the deep that he looks at when he discovers himself. The deep itself is like water, isn't it? And so the sign of Cancer was the sun's zenith into at the highest point, but it's also the sign of water. So I saw what happened to me. The forces of materialism were symbolic to the water of Cancer, and that water was pouring down so immensely that it literally washed away chunks and chunks and layers of my life, and drowned me in materialism. It literally filled all around me and drowned me into the waters of materialism and physical reality, and that was why it was so distracting, because I was literally plunged deep down into this water with no direction, no ship or anything. Actually, I was talking earlier about what I had to do so many times this summer. I had to hop ship, because every ship, it seemed like, that I found that got me out of the water turned into mutiny. The crew on the ship all turned to mutiny, and I had no choice but to hop from it and go find other ships. I've hopped so many different ships only to plunge back down into the water again, time and time again. It was all a sign. It was all like a big symbol taking place. I'm seeing that now. So the right side of the brain, the spiritual side, not material side, the immaterial side of the brain, that's the wisdom, the inherent truth, intuition, creativity, abstract information, symbolism, and clairvoyance. This side would depict the bright side of God, the self obscured by brilliant light, the concealed identity, the face attempting to look upon that mirror of the deep, and the ascent of spiritualism and immaterial. So therefore, it is the right hemisphere of the brain which gives sustenance and vitality to the left hemisphere. Much like how water gives life to a garden full of luscious plants, flowers, and vegetation. So the right side of the brain, the intuitive side, waters and gives life to the left side. And so when it descends from the right side into the left, it falls into matter, and then it forms like a lake or a basin. And this basin contains all the concrete and knowledgeable facts and data from that intuitive source. So it becomes like the garden or the lake. So you descend down as water into a lake, and you either sink or swim, right? So you swim, you know what it is. You know it's coming from the right side, the side where all the inspiration and energy. Oh, my cat. Hey, kitty. All that comes from, but you know how to navigate it. So the right side is the ascent. You're going back up into the source from which all of that life and sustenance came down from. What are you doing, kitty? Okay, so the left hemisphere is the fertile soil which receives the infiltration from the right, but it is also the side which bears the offspring and yields the results of creation. One can even go as far as saying that the heavens were written backwards, that the waters of the deep were really fertile soil and earth, and that the fires of God's reflection upon it were really the infiltrating streams of life which rushed and flowed out from his mind. So either way, unity and oneness was founded initially within the I am presence. So that's all I'll read from the article now. You can read the rest later if you'd like. It's in the description. So when God, being concealed and completely blinded by his own light and his own fire, or his sense of self rather, he looked upon the reflection of the dark waters, and then he saw who he was at once. And so immediately the two of those became counterparts, the light and the dark abyss of the deep. And that's when the I am was realized. The I am was the third aspect. The first was the blinding, concealed light of God. The second was the dark waters of the deep. And the third was the link between the two of those, the self-realization. That became the I am. So they both have to exist together. If you were a self, for example, if you were just a self and there were no other selves, no other things, plants, animals, objects, anything, how would you know that? How would you know that you were a self? How would you know your identity if you were just literally just one self? Unless there was some kind of differential, some kind of place to look through the mirror. So, and to have a mirror is to have a not self. The mirror is not yourself, it's only the reflection of the self. So that automatically introduces a second aspect to the experience. So when the unknown self looks into the mirror and sees what it is, thus produces the third aspect. That's the linking chain in between the two. It's the linking chain between spirit and matter, the linking chain between father and mother, of light to darkness, etc., etc. So it's literally the bridge that connects the two realms together. It connects heaven and earth together. The I am, that is, connects heaven and earth together. It connects above to below, light to darkness, heat to cold, you name it. It connects everything, and it's right at the very center of the two expressions. So therefore, it is also the balance and the equilibrium of those expressions. It is the I am. So if you enjoyed this little video, hit like and subscribe and show me a little support. And and check out my Substack down below. You have a great day.